Natural dyes for clothing is what my project final was on. So I decided to try this because I'm interested in clothing, and I'm interested in like more sustainable ways of dyeing clothes. I mean, there's so many like pieces of clothing in the world. And if you think about it, we could use like plant dyes as a more natural resource for clothing instead of just like all the synthetic ones. I have chemicals in them and stuff too. But yeah, so I just wanted to do my project on this one. So I'll go ahead and begin. So the overview of my project, get this here maybe, okay. So plants can be used to dye a variety of fabrics and display an array of colors. Dyes can be made from flowers, foliage, stems, bulbs, or roots, depending on the plant type, of course. Various fruit and vegetable scraps can also be used for natural dyeing techniques. However, the color of the plant does not necessarily correspond with the dye it produces. Like, for example, like the herb mint can be used to dye the fabric yellow. An avocado can be used to dye fabrics like pink or yellow. It just kind of depends. Natural fibers tend to dye best, and the thicker the fabric, the more dye it can take up. And the reason why plants are able to produce these colors onto the clothing is because they have pigments, such as like indigo and madder. Those are like the most popular plant dyes out there. So it just kind of depends on like the pigmentation of the plant itself, because everything varies in plant dyeing processes. Like, you're never going to get the same result as you did the first time around, and that has to do with like the specific plant, fabric composition and preparation, and the dyeing process that you go about. And if whether you prepared your fabrics or not, that's another thing as well. So the process of it, this is a vague overview, like for any kind of plant that you want to use, and then I'll go into like the specific techniques that I used. So for the first part of it, for the process, sorry. So you're just supposed to like remove the desired portion of the plant. So like if you had like an onion and you wanted to just use the onion and not the skin, you would just use the desired part of it. So chop it up, depending on like what kind of plant it is. Like some things need to be bigger, like beets, like they needed to be bigger than like the onion cuts and stuff like that. But anyways, so this is to make the dye bath. So you get all the chopped up veggies or plant pieces and you combine them in a large kettle, add enough water to cover the plant material, simmer it until it looks like the dye has been like the color of the water is like changing. So I let mine cook for quite a while. And then strain out like all the plant material, and then you have your dye made. That the rest of the liquid in there is your dye. So then you have your dye bath, and then you can add your cotton material to it. Bring it to boil and let it simmer for like 2 hours, stirring it a bunch. And then so it says like let cotton material soak overnight. So I put it in a jar and I let it soak overnight. And then today I rinsed off the excess dye and then I like allowed it to dry. and they turned out pretty good. So, oops. Now on to the my personal process. So I got cabbage, onions, avocados, and turmeric, and vinegar and salt. And what I did was I cut them all up and put them in like separate bowls here. You can see it gets on my hand, like the color of the beets. So I get them all cleaned up. Like for the avocados, I had to scoop it all out and kind of scrub all the creamy parts out of the avocado itself. So once I got them all in the bowl, I added the vinegar, kind of just like a mordant, to like mix it up, and get those like colors to come out more by doing so. And then this is me boiling them, to get those color pigments out. Like here with the avocado, you could see that it's like turning the water pinkish yellow. And then I added the beets and the turmeric, and it was a really cool orangey color. And then the onions and the cabbage, which I don't personally recommend to do if you wanted to dye clothes, because it just kind of makes them stink. But anyways, so yeah, brought those all to a boil. Okay, and here is where I got the cotton prepared. I washed it with dish soap and salt and vinegar as well. So I got that all. Make sure like the fibers in it are prepared to absorb as much color as they can. And then I stuck the pieces of cloth, it's 100% cotton, into the dye baths there. And they sat in there, I think, for like 2 hours, I believe. I forgot to strain the scrap pieces out of the water before I put the cloth in. I don't think it really matters. It just kind of like, it worked because I had just small pieces of cloth. But like if you were trying to dye a t-shirt or something, you'd probably want to like get the stuff out. But yeah, so there's that. And then up here, so like I said previously, once they were done cooking for 2 hours, I put them in I strained them and then put them in their own individual jars there. So it's just a plant. It's just the dye bath and the cotton pieces in the jars. There's no plant material in there anymore. And then here is the same thing, just without the labels. During the day, I just thought it looked pretty in the light there. Yes, so there's on the left, there is the cabbage and onion, turmeric, and avocado, and then the beet and turmeric on there. Okay, so yeah, I had the cotton being absorbed by the colors for 24 hours in those jars. And then I took them out and rinsed them off and let them sit to dry. So here's what you can see how they turned out. There's the turmeric, beets and turmeric, cabbage and onion and avocado there. So they turned out pretty good. The cabbage one, not my favorite, but it definitely got some color on there. I thought the avocado was going to be more pink than yellow, but it actually just turned out to be like really, really yellow, like the turmeric. Got some close-ups pictures. Oops. So yeah, this one's my favorite. This is the beets and turmeric close-up. It just turned out really good. Really nice, like burnt orangey color, because it mixed the red and like the turmeric together. So got that color going. I feel like beets and the turmeric are a really good go-to if you want like prominent dyes. This is the onion and cabbage. I don't know how it turned it. It was like turning it green and then pink and then purplish colors here. I liked this little area of it. Again, it just made it made the clothing really stinky. So this one I feel like was the hardest to get colors to come out of because, I don't know, just the other ones seem to take up so much more easily than this one. But that's how the cabbage and onions turned out. This is the turmeric. Yeah, so for this one I didn't have a process like the other ones. I mixed in just a turmeric powder and some boiling water and just put it in the jar because it didn't need really anything else, didn't need to be like cooked or anything. But yeah, that turned out a really nice yellow there. Definitely really, really easy to dye with turmeric. And then lastly, this is the avocado. Yeah, it turned out a little bit like the turmeric as well. Again, varying just a little bit. I think it's strange how they produce a yellowy color. You wouldn't really guess besides like green, So that's the color that it produced. And overall, I learned, that there are more sustainable options for dyeing our clothing. You get use out of plant scraps. It's just like a really good recycling type of way to go about it. Yes, I learned that. There's way more different kinds of plants that you can use to get different colors. I probably would have tried to aim to get like a purple on there, or maybe like a indigo style. But really enjoyed this project. I will be trying to dye more of my clothing this way now. Maybe one day figure out how to tie-dye.